Once, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and a forest shrouded in secrets, there lived a young girl named Emily. She was a bright and cheerful child, always quick to find joy in the simplest of things. But all of that would change when Emily's family moved into an old Victorian house on the outskirts of town. The house was a thing of faded grandeur, with creaking floorboards and walls that whispered forgotten tales. Among the dusty relics of generations past, Emily discovered an antique doll. It was a delicate porcelain figure with golden curls and a frilly, lace-trimmed dress. The doll's name was Isabella, and her painted blue eyes seemed to follow Emily wherever she went. At first, Emily cherished her newfound companion. She would dress Isabella in tiny outfits and place her by the window to watch the world outside. But soon, strange things began to happen. Emily's parents heard her talking to Isabella in hushed tones, as if engaged in a secret conversation. They dismissed it as the imaginings of a lonely child. As weeks turned into months, Isabella's presence became increasingly unsettling. Emily would wake in the middle of the night to find the doll at the foot of her bed, her expression twisted into a malevolent sneer. Objects in the house would go missing, only to reappear in bizarre places, as if the doll itself were responsible. Emily's behavior began to change as well. She grew withdrawn, her once bright eyes now clouded with a distant darkness. She spoke less and less to her family, preferring the company of Isabella. And then came the nightmares, horrifying visions that left Emily trembling in her sleep. In her dreams, Emily saw Isabella as a life-sized figure, moving with an unnatural grace. The doll's eyes glowed with an eerie light as she whispered promises of eternal companionship in Emily's ear. Each night, the dreams grew more vivid, and Emily's waking hours were plagued by a sense of dread. Emily's parents, increasingly concerned for their daughter's well-being, sought help from a local priest. Father Thomas was a kindly man, but even he could not explain the sinister presence that seemed to emanate from the doll. He performed a blessing on the house and placed a crucifix by Emily's bedside, hoping it would offer protection. For a time, it seemed as though the blessing had worked. Emily's nightmares abated, and her family breathed a sigh of relief. But their respite was short-lived. One evening, as the family sat down to dinner, a chilling wind swept through the dining room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. When the lights flickered back to life, Isabella sat at the head of the table, her porcelain lips curled into a wicked smile. Emily's parents gasped in horror as they realized that their daughter's voice had changed, no longer the sweet tones of a child but a cold, malevolent hiss that echoed through the room. The doll's malevolence grew with each passing day. She taunted the family with whispered threats, moving from room to room with a haunting grace that defied explanation. Emily's parents, desperate to rid their home of this sinister presence, sought the help of paranormal investigators. The investigators delved into the history of the house, uncovering a dark secret that had long been buried. It was revealed that the previous owners, a family with a young daughter, had experienced a similar haunting. They had attempted to destroy the doll but had met a tragic end. As the investigators delved deeper into their research, Isabella's malevolent spirit seemed to intensify. She targeted the investigators themselves, subjecting them to nightmarish visions and relentless torment. Some fled in terror, while others were consumed by the darkness. Emily's family was left with no choice but to confront the evil that had taken hold of their home. Armed with knowledge and a steely resolve, they performed a ritual in an attempt to banish the malevolent spirit from the doll. The ritual was fraught with danger, as Isabella fought back with a ferocity that defied her porcelain form. In a climactic battle between light and darkness, the family channeled their love for Emily and their determination to protect her. With a blinding burst of light, Isabella's malevolent spirit was expelled from the doll, vanishing into the depths of the night. As the first rays of dawn illuminated the room, Emily's family breathed a collective sigh of relief. Isabella lay still, her porcelain features peaceful once more. The curse had been broken, and Emily was free from the doll's malevolent influence. But the experience left scars that ran deep. Emily's family moved from the Victorian house, leaving behind the haunted doll in a place that could never harm anyone again. As they settled into a new home, they knew that the darkness they had encountered would linger in their memories, a chilling reminder of the malevolent presence that had once held them captive. The haunting of Emily's doll served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most innocent of objects can harbor a darkness that threatens to consume those who dare to cross its path. And in the quiet, forgotten corners of the world, such malevolence waits, biding its time for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its malevolent embrace. In the heart of a tranquil suburban neighborhood stood an old, ivy-covered house with a peculiar history. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones by the locals, a residence that had seen generations come and go, each leaving behind a legacy of whispered secrets. But among all the mysteries that shrouded the house, none were as chilling as the tale of Victoria, the haunted doll. The story began in the late 19th century when the house belonged to the Trelawney family. A reclusive and enigmatic clan, the Trelawneys had a penchant for collecting oddities from around the world. One such acquisition was a doll, exquisitely crafted but possessing an air of malevolence that unnerved even the bravest of souls. The doll, christened Victoria by the Trelawneys, had a face carved from porcelain that seemed to change expression when one wasn't looking. Her glass eyes held a sinister gleam, and her silk dress rustled as if moved by unseen hands. Some claimed that Victoria's lips, painted a blood-red hue, would curl into a cruel smile when darkness fell. The Trelawney's youngest daughter, Eliza, had a particular fascination with Victoria. She would spend hours in her room, whispering secrets to the doll and sharing her deepest fears and desires. It was a bond that both intrigued and concerned her family, but they chalked it up to the whims of a child. As the years passed, the Trelawney's house gained a reputation for being a place of darkness and despair. Neighbors spoke of strange noises emanating from within its walls, unearthly whispers, eerie laughter, and the chilling sound of a child singing a haunting lullaby in the dead of night. One fateful evening, a storm of unprecedented ferocity swept through the town, shrouding it in darkness. Thunder rumbled like a malevolent giant, and lightning split the sky, illuminating the Trelawney's house in ghastly flashes. And it was on that night, as the tempest raged outside, that the true horror of Victoria would be unleashed. Eliza, now a young woman, was alone in the house when the storm struck. She ventured into the attic, a place she had always been forbidden to enter, drawn by an inexplicable force. The attic was a labyrinth of dusty, forgotten relics, but at its center lay a trunk covered in old, tattered sheets. With trembling hands, Eliza uncovered the trunk, revealing a collection of letters and diaries dating back centuries. The writing spoke of a malevolent spirit known as the Veiled Lady, bound to a porcelain doll through a dark and unholy ritual. The doll, Victoria, was said to be the vessel through which the Veiled Lady could torment the living. As Eliza read the passages, a chill ran down her spine. She turned to leave the attic, but the door slammed shut, trapping her in the dimly lit space. Victoria stood before her, her glass eyes glowing with an unholy light. The doll's porcelain lips moved, and a voice, both ethereal and cruel, filled the attic. "I have waited," Victoria whispered, "waited for the blood of the Trelawneys to awaken me. You, dear Eliza, shall be the vessel through which I shall reclaim my power." Terrified and entranced, Eliza felt an invisible force envelop her, binding her to the doll. She became a conduit for the malevolent spirit, her mind and soul subjected to the veiled lady's dark desires. As days turned into weeks, Eliza's family grew increasingly concerned for her well-being. She would emerge from her room, her eyes vacant, her voice cold and distant. Victoria was always by her side, a silent but malevolent presence. The town, too, was gripped by an unshakable darkness. Crops withered, livestock perished, and an aura of despair hung in the air. Whispers of the haunted Trelawney house spread, and the townsfolk knew that something had to be done. A group of brave individuals, led by the town's elderly priest, ventured to the Trelawney house on a moonless night. Armed with holy relics and a determination born of desperation, they entered the accursed dwelling, ready to confront the malevolent spirit that had plagued their lives. What they found within the house was a nightmare beyond their darkest imaginings. Eliza, now a vessel for the veiled lady, had become a conduit for a legion of vengeful spirits. The walls of the house groaned with the weight of their collective malevolence. In a climactic battle between light and darkness, the priest and his companions faced the wrath of the veiled lady. They recited ancient incantations, brandished crosses, and invoked the power of their faith. The battle raged through the house, shaking its very foundations. And then, with a blinding burst of light, the veiled lady's hold on Eliza was shattered. The spirits were banished, and Victoria, the haunted doll, lay still at last. The Trelawney house, no longer bound by darkness, stood in eerie silence. But the price of victory had been high. Eliza, freed from the malevolent spirit's grip, was forever changed. She was left with fragments of memories, haunted by the knowledge of the horrors she had witnessed. As for Victoria, the doll was sealed away in a chest, locked and hidden in the attic, a reminder of the darkness that had once consumed the Trelawney house. Years passed, and the Trelawney house became little more than a relic of the town's grim history. But the legend of Victoria, the haunted doll, would forever haunt the memories of those who had dared to venture into the darkness, a testament to the enduring power of malevolence and the human spirit's capacity to overcome even the most nightmarish of horrors. In the end, the house stood as a chilling reminder that some secrets are better left undisturbed, and that darkness, once unleashed, can seep into the very soul of those who dare to seek it out.